Overwatch 2. It's gonna save the Overwatch franchise for sure. I mean, Overwatch, the darling game of esports, game of the year when it came out. Hell, we even covered this game in a massive capacity at TGN, built a YouTube channel at TGN to over 1 million subscribers just covering Overwatch. I emailed with Jeff Kaplan, the game director for this game. He's like the nicest guy ever. We went to BlizzCon. We did everything Overwatch. This game was the darling of the industry. And then something happened where the Overwatch franchise died in terms of popularity, got utterly decimated. Don't just take my word for it. Do we have Google Trends or some sort of data to look at here? It's been really interesting to watch this trend over time. And here it is on the screen. Can you break down the numbers for us? Because we don't want you guys, this is not clickbait, guys. This is the real data right here on the screen in terms of search interest. Break it down for us, Perrin.
So we're looking at, over the past 5 years, YouTube search interest worldwide. Overwatch and Overwatch 2. Overwatch is this blue line that you see. Overwatch 2 is the red line, obviously pretty flat. It's not out yet. And you can see its launch in 2016, and since then that spike trend has been going down, 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 and it's become pretty flat here in 2020 into 2021 over here. And you don't really have much interest at all. Like, it's pretty much dead in terms of search interest. There's not a lot of people searching on YouTube for Overwatch anymore. Why is that the case, guys? Is that because, you know, they've stopped updating the game for the most part while they're working on Overwatch 2, and gamers have just been waiting for that, and it's been a while because of COVID, and maybe that's making it take a little bit longer? Are there other factors here, like maybe Battle Royales and Fortnite stealing the thunder from this type of FPS shooter? What's your take here, Russ?
We have answers to all of that and more in this episode of the Digital Drop Podcast. Don't give away all the good stuff. Play the ad.
This podcast is sponsored by Restream.
Right,
Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io?
Ross, we teased your take here. Did Battle Royales kill Overwatch?
It sure did. Well, at least it definitely played a role, and it's going to be interesting. You know, when they first announced that they were doing Overwatch 2, I was pretty convinced, even though there was no announcement. I'm like, well, they're obviously going to go the Battle Royale trend here. How could they not? Because that's the biggest trend there is. And then you find out that the new content that's going to be coming from Overwatch 2 is single player RPG, which, as we all know from covering other games on this show, is a complete spike trend. Meaning it's going to have a initial spike. It's going to look real good. And then usually we see that, I think it's usually about after a month, it just kind of dies off. They kind of take it behind the barn and send it the way of Old Yeller. So the fact that they don't have Battle Royale mode coming to Overwatch, and that they've made it clear they're going to be focusing on these RPG elements, I don't know. I mean, there was, for a while, the first Overwatch game was a great trend. And it seems like they're moving away from what worked for that in Overwatch 2. So while we don't have too much information other than the gameplay trailer or the trailers that they've released for it and stuff, man, that's a red flag for me, boys.
It's a red flag for me as well. Before we go into what Overwatch 2 is going to entail, which is a lot, they're going to be revamping the graphics and all of that. I want to ask you, Perrin, do you feel that it was the wrong move for the Overwatch franchise not to jump on the Battle Royale train? Would it have been too late? I mean, the game was designed from the ground up to be an arena shooter, to recapture the magic of Team Fortress and those classic games like Quake and stuff like that, that really reactive gameplay and what have you, and then bring that to the market, and they became kind of the one and only for that type of gameplay, and they did it better than anyone ever. And I loved Overwatch for that. Did they miss the boat on Battle Royale, or are they continuing to make smart moves by not following the rest of the industry and doing something unique? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, by not following the industry and doing something unique, them making an FPS game is not unique at all. I mean, tons of FPS games exist out there. They're bringing Blizzard to it, though. You know, this is Overwatch in my mind is the last bastion of Blizzard that's actually quality and worth a grain of salt, because Jeff Kaplan is there.
Yeah, agreed.
The only person left, the only developer left in Blizzard who is still there from the old ages of Blizzard, that has that idea of bringing quality, bringing epic gameplay, bringing just like this pristineness to their games. So Overwatch is a great shooter. Like they did a great job developing the heroes, the skills, and in Overwatch 2, they're going to be like expanding on the skills, and you're going to be able to customize them, etc. That would be really, really cool in a battle royale, to be honest. And I do think that they missed the boat. And it's really not. I don't think they would have had any way of predicting this, especially in the way that Blizzard's culture was when Overwatch was coming out. They just missed it, and they just missed that concept.
They did.
And it's something that, like, if they did now, it would have this sense of like, okay, everyone's making a battle royale now, but it's Blizzard. They could bring a higher quality and compete and basically destroy competition with their quality as they've always done. And this is one area where they could still do that. I think that they should greatly consider it with Overwatch 2, even though they're probably not, just because battle royales, we see time and time again, we look at all the numbers of all the top games, battle royales are it. That's what people want. That's what gamers want. That's what they're interested in. And an Overwatch slant on that with these characters would be compelling for gamers, I feel.
I agree, but one thing we have to keep in mind, this is something that all of our audience has to keep in mind. Blizzard isn't just Blizzard anymore. It's Blizzard Activision. And I want to look at the Twitch numbers with you because we want to bring data and facts here. It's Blizzard Activision. And the bottom line is that at Blizzard Activision, they have the Call of Duty franchise, which is absolutely tapping into the Battle Royale genre with whatever the latest flavor of Battle Royale in the Call of Duty franchise is on PC and console. That will change over time. And they have Call of Duty Mobile, which is crushing Battle Royales on mobile. So why, as a larger umbrella company, compete with themselves by having Call of Duty compete with Overwatch? Why not have them be in a unique space? I think that is definitely a part of the conversation that's happening over at Blizzard. And I think Call of Duty gets the better part of the deal there by being able to tap in on the Battle Royale genre, whereas Overwatch cannot. But guys, let's look at more facts here. We have numbers on Twitch. Oh, yikes. Ross, do you see these lines separating at the bottom? What does this mean? We've been teaching our viewers, when you look at Twitch tracker and the blue line is above the green line, is that good or is that bad?
I don't know because I don't pay attention. No, I'm just kidding. The top line means that there's a lot more channels covering it than there are people watching it, and that's a no-no. That means that it is oversaturated. In fact, that may be one of the most oversaturated graphs that we've ever had on this show.
That is oversaturated. That's right. So that means that supply, in terms of streamers, is way higher than demand. Break down the numbers for us a little bit more, Perrin, and we've got some great comments from our audience. Is this game viable as a Twitch streamer, Perrin? Break the numbers down for us.
Well, let's take a look. I mean, in the last 7 days, we have 883 live channels. That's quite a bit. 12,000 live viewers with an average of 14.4 viewers per channel. That is low. So generally when we're looking at that average, the sweet spot, or at least like the minimum requirement there is about 25 on average.
Yeah.
But you do need to take some other metrics into account, not just that. But that alone being low just kind of shows you a bit of the saturation. And then if you meet that with the graph, then you're like, okay, yeah, this thing is like super saturated. There's really not an increasing demand for viewership on this game. And you know, if we combine that with the YouTube search interest, we can see over time that the interest, the searches, like people just aren't looking up Overwatch and they're not looking to watch Overwatch, but there's still tons of streamers streaming Overwatch. And basically a lot of those streamers are going to be larger creators who already have an established audience. And that is where most of these live viewers are actually coming from. Your piece of the pie as someone small or medium coming in to try to take a bite from that is going to be very, very difficult. The thing about Blizzard games in general is the space is always very, very competitive. You have a group of creators that follow all the Blizzard titles like ravenously. They consume everything and they get an inside track. They get access to alphas, tech alphas before you do.
We did that. I mean, we went down to Blizzard HQ before Overwatch release. We played with Jeff Kaplan and all the guys. They give you the VIP treatment when you have a big YouTube channel. So you have a massive advantage in terms of being a large creator versus a mid to small tier creator with Blizzard games. They've designed their entire community strategy around keeping these big creators happy and keeping the media happy to keep those YouTube videos positive and those reviews really good as much as they can control that, right? By whining and dining you at Chipotle? That's where they took us. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, so the point is, as a creator coming into the space, it's already very entrenched, and you're not going to be getting access to the stuff that's going to be giving those gamers and creators who are already entrenched a leg up over you. So not only is it going to be hard to compete with them, but you're doing it from an impossible vantage point. So for that reason, Overwatch is something to cover. If you're not already covering it and you're not already entrenched, I wouldn't recommend getting into it. You should start off at some other place with Blizzard games. If you're trying to get in with Blizzard, that's a whole different strategy. But despite that, guys, let's take a second here to look at, we were talking about, Overwatch is dying. Overwatch 2 is coming. It could have made a battle royale, but they had esports, right? They had esports. Esports was working. What happened to that?
Exactly. Yeah, that was we literally have written down here that was supposed to be the golden child of Overwatch. It was supposed to be an incredibly competitive esports event, and it just tanked. We just literally stopped hearing about it.
Yeah, one reason, and I'm happy to analyze this a lot because I followed Overwatch esports very closely. But we got a question. We got a couple comments here that are very relevant. Drew Jordan was just saying, "Won't every game die eventually on YouTube? What if your game just starts declining? Like, is that the reason why esports died for this game? Just as a reason, right? It seems like a very reasonable argument. And so one thing I'd want to put forward is that every game does die eventually. That's true, but some games just plateau at a pretty high level of popularity, okay? And Overwatch didn't. When we go look at the Google Trends for this game, it is literally at 1/25th of the popularity it was at launch today. So it wasn't even just decimated as a game. It is like more than decimated. It is down to 1/25th of what it was where it launched. So esports is supposed to be something that keeps the popularity relatively high, 30%, 25% of what it was at launch, but esports failed to do that. Just to address your question there, Drew, okay? And X1 is making a really good point regarding esports in chat, and X1 is also on YouTube. He's just saying Overwatch 2 is a remake of Overwatch 2, but with a campaign. Exactly. So what is this Overwatch 2 going to do for esports? Well, the answer is that they are enhancing the graphics. They're going to be enhancing just the overall look of the game and kind of modernizing it with the new version, which is going to be really, really good to keep kind of esports fresh if esports was wildly popular today. This is a really smart move if Overwatch esports is taking off and doing extremely well, but it isn't. It's just doing kind of okay. So to give you guys a little bit of context on Overwatch esports, the franchises, this game launched as Game of the Year years ago, and then the franchises for Overwatch esports were being sold for millions and millions and millions of dollars each. And so traditional sports executives dropped fat dollars to buy a team in New York and in all the major cities around the world. I even pitched some multimillionaires I know to consider it as an investment opportunity, just to think about it. But ultimately, I advise them to be careful because you're going to lose a lot of money for a long time. And it turns out that was true. And when we look at the viewership numbers for the Overwatch League in 2020 versus 2019, it tells a really bad story of a declining viewership. Can you break these numbers down for us, amigo?
This is from Esports Charts Twitter, and they just calculated the total hours watched, average viewers, and peak viewers of Overwatch League in 2019 and in 2020. In 2019, they had 75 million hours watched. They had 121,000 average viewers, and they reached a peak concurrent of 318,000. That was 2019. In 2020, they only had 25 million hours watched, 46,000 average viewers, which is less than half of the prior year, and a peak of 183,000. It's less than half the next preceding year. That is a huge decline in interest. Anybody who was following Overwatch esports, like thinking this thing was going to be big, when they see that year-over-year difference, they immediately are backing out. Advertisers are immediately backing out. At that point, that much of a drop in interest, it's a failed esports. All the money that was being put into it is no longer, it's not going to be put into it anymore at that point. There'll still be some believers, but it's a dying breed. It's not something that was successful. I think Blizzard, they really, really wanted to have this segment of their company that ran consistent, regular, professional esports. They just haven't really been able to make it last. They haven't really been able to make it work long term. They've been able to put a punch into it when they really want to for like 1 year or two, but afterwards it seems like they really kind of scrap it. They're not able to keep it consistent year over year over year, and for that reason, investors and advertisers are not going to stay on board when they see that type of behavior. So this thing died very quickly. I actually watched Overwatch esports myself, even though I don't play the game much because it's entertaining.
Absolutely.
In the recent years, it hasn't been nearly as exciting. You can tell Blizzard just seemed to like not care about it as much anymore, and I don't think they were investing as much money into their esports divisions to run these events. Maybe because they didn't have it. Maybe
let me hit pause on that. Did we have an answer on that? And the answer is that they laid off a significant amount of people in their publishing division, and they downscaled esports. And I stayed in contact with the person that was running Overwatch esports. I met up with them at a conference and stayed in contact with them over time. They ended up leaving years ago, and they downscaled their resources in this area because, I'm now speculating, it didn't generate the revenue that they wanted it to. It didn't generate it didn't continue to generate the interest from investors that they wanted it to. And ultimately, obviously, that results in a decrease in investment from the company, and they needed to slim up their numbers in order to be a more profitable company. And you guys have seen all the stories about layoffs. A massive portion of those layoffs are in the publishing side of the business, and esports is included in the publishing side of Blizzard, and they also have separate companies entirely that run esports as well, all of which have kind of had to slim down in terms of esports because Blizzard doesn't have any really massively growing exponential growth esports because Battle Royale stepped in and took the entire spotlight. And that's something critical for you guys to note. But there's some interesting comments here in chat I really want to address. One of them is Shorecat says, do you think the announcement of Overwatch 2 will help hold continued interest is the comment on YouTube. And another comment here is saying that Dangerous Voice says, everyone is just waiting for Overwatch 2 in my opinion. Do you guys think that this narrative is true? That everybody's waiting for the game to come out and that's why it's not popular? I mean, if it was such a compelling franchise, wouldn't they just be playing it right now in anticipation? What are your guys' thoughts on they're waiting to see theory? Or do the numbers not lie? Ross, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, the numbers don't lie. There's probably an argument to be made that there is a good portion of the Overwatch audience that is waiting for Overwatch 2 in order to get back into it. However, that doesn't do it any favors at all right now because nobody's playing it right now. And that does not benefit Blizzard at all moving into when they actually go to release Overwatch 2. I think, honestly, it's all going to come down to what kind of marketing they're willing to do for the second game. And as far as we know right now, we don't even have a release date. I'm not even sure that they're continuously updating the first game. It feels like it's going to be a dead period and that they're going to have to sink a lot of money into their marketing to be able to generate that juice again.
That makes sense. Perrin, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think people are just waiting, and then once Overwatch 2 comes out, it's going to be this incredible new regrowth for the platform, and it's just going to come back because everybody is tired of the original Overwatch, but this new one is going to be so fresh, you know, that kind of idea? It's going to be so fresh, and it's going to rejuvenate interest. Do you think that there's validity to that? And have we seen any historical examples of companies doing sort of a refresh on the gameplay of a game and that revitalizing the franchise? I can't think of any. Have you ever seen a refresh on graphics make a game take off again?
I mean, they tried to do that with Warcraft 3 Reforged, and we just did an episode on how that went. So there is this kind of ebb and flow with gamers in the creator side and the gaming part of the industry where we'll flock to something new when it comes out and we'll be interested in it because it's new. So undoubtedly when Overwatch 2 comes out, you're going to see a rise and increase in search interest. You're going to see larger creators covering it. You're going to see a higher viewership. But it is a telling story data-wise, and I'll pull this back up because you have to look at the story here in terms of data. There really is no interest in this game in between, okay?
There is, but it's low, right? And so there's only a handful of YouTubers, for example, that can cover the game right now and make a living off of it, some of which are close friends of mine. But as you can see, they're kind of fighting for scraps at this point versus the boom that this game had for the first 2 years. And so
They're
that
really fighting over scraps for the Overwatch 2 launch. They want to be that creator that's there when that spike hits, so that they can blow up. That's what they're all there for, and they're going to be fighting over that, right? We've seen this happen time and time again. So you have this in between where there's very little interest. But if we cut out creators for a second, let's just talk gamers. There's very little interest. No one's like biding their time waiting for Overwatch 2. They're interested in other games. When Overwatch 2 comes out, yeah, they'll come check it out, but they don't care in the in-between about anything about Overwatch at all. They are off on other games, Fortnite, whatever, where there's other exciting things happening, where the grass is greener on those sides. They'll come back here maybe for a little bit. The way that they're doing Overwatch 2, it will be a spike trend, but it's going to go decline in interest again unless they can continue the regular updates as they were doing before. But how was that? That really wasn't even working out that well for them either. If we look at this chart, it really wasn't doing. You have these little spikes here, which were like probably updates to the game, and then as you can see, they stop at the announcement of Overwatch 2. Those little spikes stop. Right? Those were frequent updates to the game where creators could get a little bit of search interest juice, maybe some increased viewership because there's something new.
Right.
And there just hasn't been.
Makes sense.
That will continue again after Overwatch 2, though. So maybe that can help. I don't know. Maybe.
Ross.
Perrin, to your point, Shortcat makes has an interesting question. Do you feel that a lot of these Battle Royale games are free? Is that a factor in all of this?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think those Battle Royale games, there's a lot of components there that are new and interesting that aren't free. The microtransactions, etc., the costumes, the characters, the animations, or whatever that are interesting. That those are new things that will bring search interest and will bring gamers in, and they will pay money for it. But having it be freely accessible, and something we haven't hit on really, is it being on multiple platforms, it being on mobile for one, it being playable not just on PC. See, Blizzard is still, at least right now, they're trying not to be, but at least right now they're still a PC gaming company. They haven't branched off. They've tried to branch off into console, which with Overwatch that helped, but they haven't branched into mobile, and that is the one area that they need. And Overwatch is not looking like it has any interest in mobile. And that's where a lot of the other FPS...
Well, hold on. Let's hit pause right there. You said they don't have any interest in mobile. Blizzard announced that they're developing multiple mobile games for all of their franchises. So they have not announced...
That includes Overwatch. That's great.
They have not announced Overwatch Mobile, but they have said that they are developing multiple for each. So that means that multiple Overwatch mobile games are in development. Now, what type of game is it? Is it going to be a first-person shooter, something like that? I would guess that it is not going to be a first-person shooter. My guess is that they're probably going to use Overwatch as a... If I'm going to predict... I'm going to say they're going to do like a gacha turn-based RPG game, similar to Raid Shadow Legends or Galaxy of Heroes, and you're going to use the Overwatch heroes to do that. That's my guess. I doubt they're going to dive into first-person shooters on mobile with this particular franchise because, like I said earlier, Blizzard Activision already has Call of Duty Mobile, which is arguably... It's like a top 3 cash cow in this genre. Why is Blizzard Activision as an umbrella going to try to get another one? I mean, maybe they could, but that doesn't make less sense to me. So anyway, back to you. So they do have interest in mobile, just has not been announced. So let's keep an eye on that for 2023, possibly. Back to you.
It's going to be like Overwatch free, so.
I hope not. I mean, the thing is, like,
I do too.
We got to have some faith in this man, right? And the man that was just on the screen, Jeff Kaplan. All right, Jeff Kaplan is, like we mentioned earlier, Cap Daddy. I loved Cap Daddy. He is like a true leader. He is a true dad gamer. That's not him. Dang it, I was trying to zoom in on him. He's a true dad gamer, and I love it. And I imagine that if there is going to be an Overwatch mobile game, they're going to make sure that it's going to be very high quality and that he's going to have it be the least scummy possible. There he is. There's Cap Daddy. We love you, Cap Daddy. He's going to make it the least scummy possible Overwatch mobile game that we can imagine, and he's going to try to make it fun. So out of all of the franchises for Blizzard mobile games, Overwatch is the one that I'm least concerned with in terms of insidious microtransactions in the game potentially being a flop. It has the highest probability of success, though it is not obviously a perfect slam dunk when that one happens. So that's my opinion on Overwatch Mobile is happening, guys. So if you guys don't be shocked when they announce Overwatch Mobile and they're like, oh, they're ruining the franchise. They have StarCraft Mobile. They have Diablo Mobile. Obviously, it's already been announced. They've got Warcraft mobile games. They've got Overwatch mobile games. They got it all in development right now. Don't you worry. You'll be able to buy all those battle passes and microtransactions in no time. Back to you, Perrin.
Oh, yeah. I think them being late to the mobile game, though, is one of the reasons why Overwatch now is dead. You know, if it were something that were accessible on mobile and more gamers worldwide could be a part of it, then maybe it would have helped. I don't know, probably not really, to be honest. But that's one of our points here that we had in terms of it dying was they hadn't expanded. Blizzard was a little slow to expand into mobile, and then just now getting there. Although COVID, I think, has really hampered their progress, and it's been taking them a lot longer to get to that point. But it will help them reach a wider audience and generate larger search interest for the genre as a whole, especially when they're adding stories and things. So guys, I know we were I know you have a bit of skepticism about Overwatch 2 being story-based and they're adding in these RPG elements, but isn't that what the fans want though? Haven't they been saying in Overwatch what it's missing is like this in-game lore that you can play through behind the heroes?
Yeah.
And wasn't that the main criticism? So if they deliver on that, aren't they solving the problem?
Yeah, so this is a great one. We talk about this all the time. We are marketing executives and managers, so we have addressed these sort of items. So when your hardcore fan base asks you for something, guess what? Only your hardcore fan base wants it. And so the broader audience out there, the new audience, the new customers that you need to acquire, probably don't care about or know about the things that your hardcore fan base is asking for. And so with Overwatch, that's what that is the case. So this new Overwatch 2 expansion, we'll call it, it's a sequel, but it's like a mega expansion, is going to appeal to the hardcore fan base of Overwatch right now. They're gonna love it. But if Overwatch wants that curve to go back up in terms of popularity, they need to acquire new eyeballs, new fans. And where is the growth in the gaming industry? If you want to acquire new eyeballs and you want to get new fans for your franchise, you have to go where the growth is. And the growth right now is in international audiences, it is in mobile, and it is in having models that involve free-to-play games. And none of those things are going to be in place here in Overwatch 2. It is going to stay very centered on the hardcore PC and console community. And I think that this expansion is going to rejuvenate, if you will, the hardcore fan base for Overwatch, but it is going to do very little to expand the fan base beyond that, unfortunately. The only thing that's going to expand that fan base, I think, is the mobile versions of Overwatch. And that could actually be what rejuvenates the franchise, but that's probably 2023, 2024. And so unfortunately, I think that we're going to be in a dry period in terms of popularity for the franchise until they do where industry growth is. Mobile, international, and free to play. That's just how it is. The numbers don't lie. Mobile sales are taking over everything in the gaming industry, and that's why Blizzard is making, 8 mobile games right now. They've only announced 1, but they're making at least 8 right now, okay? So that's where the industry is going. That's where the growth has to occur. And we've got some more amazing comments here from chat. I want to just read a few here. And Sam is making a really good point here in chat. He's saying that Diablo was announced for mobile, but took massive backlash. And so the counterpoint I would like, it did. You're totally right. It took massive backlash from you and from the hardcore North American PC gamer audience. But guess what?
From their bank account.
You're old. You're yesterday's news as far as the industry is concerned. I'm just serious. We're all yesterday's news here on this podcast. We are old guys that are in our 30s, heading toward our 40s here, guys. And we're PC and console gamers. That's not where the growth of the industry is. We are not the future of gaming. The future of gaming is mobile, international, it's young, it's microtransactions, it's free to play, it's availability. And so that pissed off audiences like us, but guess what? Diablo Mobile, or Diablo Immortal, is going to be the best thing to ever happen to the Diablo franchise in terms of revenue, in terms of popularity, and in terms of getting people into the franchise itself. And when Diablo Immortal becomes one of the most financially successful mobile games, I'm predicting it right now, of all time. Of all time, for sure.
All time. Okay.
I'm predicting
Okay,
all
great.
time. It will
All
be
right.
one of the most financially successful mobile games of all time. The millions of dollars per month. Listen, just follow me all the way down this logic train here. The millions of dollars per month that mobile games for Blizzard franchises will generate in marketing will bring in tens of millions and eventually 100 million plus new gamers into those franchises. Some percentage of those gamers will migrate from the mobile version of the game over to PC and console for these franchises. And that will be the thing that starts to rejuvenate the PC and console interest in these ancient franchises like Diablo and like franchises that are struggling and middling like Overwatch. Will rejuvenate franchises like Warcraft and StarCraft. Mobile gaming, as much as everybody hates it, and this is a very unpopular opinion probably with the people that are watching, but facts are facts. Mobile gaming is going to be the savior of Blizzard Entertainment, not the downfall of Blizzard Entertainment. If they don't go this direction, guys, Blizzard is going to go out of business. I don't think y'all get it. When you look at the numbers every year, if you look at the industry reports, PC console revenue, mobile revenue going up. I'm sorry, if you're on board with a dying trend, just be prepared to hit the ground and to go bankrupt. Back to you, Ross. Unpopular opinion, but back to you, Ross.
Yes, and guess what? You can play Overwatch Solitaire and all your favorite upcoming Blizzard mobile titles on every platform using Restream.io.
What kind of segue was that?
That was an awesome segue. Don't judge me. Don't. Stop. Stop streaming to all, or actually start streaming to all platforms. Using Restream.io, we're very thankful that they sponsor us. And by using that link in the comments, you can help support us as well. And we are very, very thankful for that.
Got it. X1 has an interesting prediction here. What do you guys think about this in chat? He's saying if Overwatch Mobile comes out, which it will, they'll probably make it a pay-to-play game, not a free-to-play game. So what do you guys think about that? The idea of Blizzard doing pay-to-play with their games, like doing like a AAA pay-to-play experience versus a free-to-play experience. Do you think that's likely or unlikely based on what you know about the mobile gaming industry? Let's get Perrin first.
It's unlikely that they'll do subscription anything, really. They know that's only going to work with World of Warcraft. They're smart enough and they're business savvy enough, and they're taking a serious enough approach to mobile, and they want to get it right. They are going to do what everyone does on mobile, and they're going to do microtransactions. They already have all of the additional skins, costumes, all those things. Like, they have that stuff already. They have all the assets for it. Now they just have to charge money for it. And that is, I guarantee you, 100% the route that they're thinking and that they're going to take. They might try to do an innovative or a different approach maybe in some of their games than maybe what some of the competitors are doing, but it will be a variation of that in some variety. That would be my prediction.
Okay, interesting. Free to play or paid version? Like, there's some successful paid mobile games out there, like the Bloons TD games, Minecraft, retro versions of old PC titles. There's some indie games that are paid to play that are pretty successful. I don't know. Do you think they're going to go that direction and go after the tiny 1% revenue model on mobile, or are they going to go after the 99% free to play? What do you think, Ross?
I think they're going to go after. I actually agree with everything that Perrin just said. I think he nailed it perfectly. The only way that they go to a subscription type model is if they're desperate. And mobile gaming
fails.
Yeah, mobile gaming is just so popular right now. They're not going to fail. They're going to make enough to where they're going to be able to avoid that.
That makes sense. Okay. Final thoughts then here, guys. Final predictions. Definitively on the record on all platforms. Thanks, Restream, for sponsoring us. Everybody on Trovo, D Live, Periscope, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Gaming, thanks to Restream, is going to know our final predictions here. I'm going to give it over to Ross first. And also in chat, we want to know your predictions, and we'll reread them on the screen. Here's the question for everyone. The question is, will Overwatch 2, definitive answer, revitalize the franchise and bring it back to a much higher level of popularity and sustain the game? I'll repeat the question one more time. Will Overwatch 2 revitalize the franchise and bring it back as a sustainable, popular game that is going to be punching and people are going to be talking about for a while? Ross, what's your answer first? Whoa, look at that face. Whoa.
Look at that face. Yeah, that face is awesome. I don't even know what face you're looking at. If it's mine, awesome. I think it's going to be a 6-month spike trend. I think it's going to do very well for 6 months, but it's all going to come down to, I still honestly, I think it's going to come down to esports. I think that was their biggest thing, and they kind of just gave up on that. So I think it's going to be successful for about 6 months to a year. It's going to revitalize the Overwatch community for that amount of time. And I'm not saying it's going to fail after that. I'm saying that in order to make a prediction beyond the 1 year point, we need to see what plans they have in place. So for right now, I'll say 6 months to a year of revitalizing it.
But you're saying, but what? Just to be clear, you're saying 6 months to a year. But that basically means it's going back to where it is today after 6 months to a year, basically like middling performance. So that's not. So basically, you do not have a favorable outlook on the franchise. Is basically what you're saying. Like this is just going to spike for a while until people chug all this Overwatch 2 content, and then it's going back to status quo. Is that a fair characterization?
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll stand by those words. But it's all based on the information we have right now. We don't know what they're going to be doing with content after they release the game. We don't know, is this Overwatch mobile game going to be coming out 6 months after the release of Overwatch 2, a year after, a year and a half after? Because that's also going to generate interest in the entire franchise. So that's going to be able to push people over to Overwatch 2. So I think there's a lot of factors that go into this. When is everything releasing? How much content are they going to release at launch? And how often are they going to update it? But yes, what you said, I will stand by.
Perrin.
I think it's going to revitalize it. I do.
Whoa, that's a spicy. I was not expecting that. That's a spicy AF prediction right there. It's going to revitalize it straight up after everything we've said with the numbers. Wow, Perrin, hit me with it, dude. That's a spicy take, bro.
Because the Overwatch 2 will bring back the Blizzard ecosystem that Blizzard relies on to keep popularity with their main title. Also, Overwatch 2 is the last item that they could do. I guess they have World of Warcraft still, but they have to get this good, and they have the last talent they have on this game. I do think Jeff Kaplan and his team will deliver here. It's going to be something that, and you're going to have all these gaming creators, these Blizzard creators, just hardcore on Overwatch 2 for months and months and months, even years after this thing comes out. This will bring back the regular updates to the game that there were before, and we saw in the trend how that helped, kind of spur things along for a while, and what happened whenever that stopped. So that will come back for longevity, and then that will keep it going enough when mobile hits, and then they can expand the audience to worldwide, and that's going to keep the interest in Overwatch going. I do think that this will do it, and it's not just because of Overwatch 2 and what Overwatch 2 is doing. It's because while they're working on Overwatch 2, the ecosystem of Overwatch died. There's no longer regular updates. Creators aren't making content about it anymore. And when Overwatch 2 comes back, that all comes back. As long as you've got the major Blizzard creators back, and they will farm Blizzard games, because there are tons of creators who really want to stay a Blizzard creator. Yeah, and it's very lucrative to be a top tier Blizzard creator. They will farm Overwatch 2 until there is literally nothing left. And that won't happen because there'll actually be the updates will come back. So I think it will revitalize things, but not for the reasons that you might think. Not because of what they're actually doing with Overwatch 2, but more because of what happens around Blizzard's ecosystem of creators, marketing, updates, etc.
That's amazing. That is a spicy AF take. He says it's just straight up going to revitalize the franchise. I've got an even spicier take because I was crapping on the game even harder than all of you guys. I think that co-op gameplay for Overwatch 2, if they see a lot of traction with that and a lot of interest with that when this Overwatch 2 drops, and then they continue to drop more missions, more co-op, more trees, more things that you can do in co-op, that's actually going to generate a significant amount of interest, assuming that the co-op that they made is fire. So this all hinges, in my opinion, I think the revamp on the graphics and the esports thing, that's going to be middling, I think. But if co-op is fire as the original Overwatch game was, and the level of quality we got there, where we were just blown away when we got our hands on that game. I remember the first time I demoed it like a year and a half before it came out. And I remember talking to Derek, somebody on my team that was with me at PAX. We're like, dude, this game is a finished product a year and a half before it came out. That's how good this development team is for Overwatch. If this team can deliver that level of quality, just the Blizzard polish on co-op FPS gameplay, that will revitalize Overwatch for at least a year or two to, like you're saying, to buy time until mobile comes out. Only if they deliver a fire co-op product as good as the original Overwatch product. This expansion needs to be that polished and good. Then Overwatch is going to come back, but it's not going to go back to its original level of popularity. I want to be clear about that. I think it'll go back up to 25 to maybe 30% of its original popularity and hold steady, assuming that co-op is amazing. We're going to have to find out. Quick comments from everybody. Ross, can you cover some of these comments and some of these spicy takes here?
Dangerous Voice says Overwatch needs to be cross-platform. I 100% agree with that. Every game should realistically be cross-platform at this point, and I hope they end up going that way. It looks like the Chatty Pug. Hey, Chatty Pug. I think Apex took a lot of Overwatch players. They might come back for fresh Overwatch content. It's a good call. And Shorecat says, I love Blizzard, but between amazing free games and things like Game Pass, it's going to be an uphill battle for people to get in and buy back into the game.
Makes sense. Thank you so much for watching. Love to know in the VOD version of this what you think. Is Overwatch coming back? Tell us why or why not. We hope it comes back. Cap Daddy, if you watch this, Cap Daddy and Overwatch team, I love you guys. I wish you the best of luck.